The dismissal. In the great expanse of the galaxy, Earth was considered nothing more than a forgotten relic. The once proud planet, now a small isolated system, had little to offer in the eyes of the galaxy's most powerful beings. Their civilization spanned vast star systems, their ships were sleek and advanced, and their weapons were unmatched. In comparison, Earth's fleet was old, its technology seen as outdated and irrelevant. But Earth's leaders knew something the galactic powers didn't. They had a plan. The Galactic Council, a powerful assembly of alien species, had gathered for an important session. They had been receiving reports about Earth's so-called relic fleet. The rumors had reached them that humanity, in a desperate bid to defend itself, had gathered a fleet of old ships. Some were warships from the early days of human space exploration. Others were mere cargo vessels, retrofitted for combat. It was laughable to the Council. Inside the Grand Council Hall, alien representatives from various star systems sat around a massive round table, their eyes glowing with condescension. Among them, the Orthac, a massive reptilian species known for their strength, let out a deep, rumbling laugh. Earth's fleet. The Orthac representative sneered. It's nothing but junk. Even our children could crush them with ease. The other members joined in, their voices rising in mockery. The Vraics, a race of telepathic beings, shared a mental chuckle. Their bodies shimmered with a faint glow, a sign of their amusement. The Krytal, tall insectoid creatures, clicked their mandibles in approval of the insult. They truly think they can defend themselves with those rusting piles of metal, said the Krytal representative, its voice harsh and metallic. But one individual, a quiet, mysterious figure, observed the discussion from the shadows. He was a human, one of Earth's ambassadors, and he had heard every word. The laughter, the ridicule. He felt it all deep in his bones. But he wasn't angry. No, he was calm, almost unnervingly so. Earth's fleet might be old, but they had something none of these aliens knew about. Something powerful. He stood, his voice calm but filled with an unshakable confidence as he addressed the council. You laugh at us, the human began. But what you fail to understand is that humanity has always thrived when pushed to the brink. You think our fleet is weak, but I assure you, you have no idea what Earth is capable of. His words were met with more laughter, but the human's eyes remained steady. He knew they would not understand. Not yet. The ambassadors from Earth had already given their warning. But the aliens were too prideful, too arrogant to see the truth. The laughter died down after a while, but it wasn't because the council was convinced. It was because the representatives had grown bored. The discussion moved on to other matters, more pressing issues, like trade agreements and political alliances. But the human ambassador stayed silent, his thoughts swirling. He had no intention of revealing their true strength just yet. No, the time would come when the galaxy would learn that Earth's fleet was far more than what it seemed. Outside the council hall, in the depths of space, the true story of Earth's fleet was beginning to unfold. For years, Earth's fleet had been neglected. The ships were old, their technology outdated, but the human race had never been one to give up easily. In secret, they had spent years upgrading and modifying their fleet. The ships may have been old, but they had been transformed into something far more deadly than anyone could have imagined. Beneath the surface, Earth had always been preparing. Scientists, engineers, and military strategists had worked tirelessly, taking the most advanced technologies and merging them with the old warships. The ships that once carried cargo across the galaxy were now capable of delivering devastating strikes. The human race had built a fleet that could stand toe-to-toe with the mightiest of the galaxy's powers, if only they could show the galaxy what they had done. As the Council continued to dismiss Earth, something else was happening. High above the planet, in a hidden military base, the humans were readying their fleet. They were preparing for a moment that would change everything. The laughter of the galaxy would soon come to an end. But for now, the galaxy's arrogance remained. The aliens saw Earth as nothing more than a small, weak player in the grand scheme of things. The Orthac, the Krytal, the Varyaks, they all thought the same. Earth was nothing, a dying world clinging to the past. No one took them seriously. And yet, the humans were not alone. There were whispers in the dark corners of the galaxy, rumors of a secret alliance that had quietly been watching Earth's rise. Some believed the ancient species who had once helped humanity would return, but no one knew for sure. For now, though, the galaxy laughed. They mocked Earth's fleet and dismissed their strength. They thought they had time. Time to laugh. Time to mock. Time to dismiss. But time, as they would soon learn, was not on their side. The laughter still echoed in the Grand Council Hall as the human ambassador returned to his seat. He was calm, his face betraying no emotion, but in his mind, a storm was brewing. He knew that the galaxy's view of Earth would soon change, and it was a change that no one would expect. While the council members were preoccupied with their smug dismissal of humanity, back on Earth, the true work had begun. In secret, hidden beneath the surface of the planet, the human fleet was coming alive. The world's governments had long since known that their survival depended on their ability to defend themselves. For years, they had quietly worked, under the radar, to rebuild and strengthen Earth's fleet. Ships that were once destined for scrap were now being retrofitted with advanced weaponry, shields, and technologies so advanced that no one outside Earth could comprehend them. The project had been spearheaded by a select group of human military officers, engineers, and scientists. They were a team united by one singular goal: to make sure that when the time came, humanity would not just survive, they would strike back. The fleet was scattered across various hidden bases and research stations, each ship undergoing a process of rejuvenation. The old warships, once thought of as nothing more than monuments to a bygone era, were now fitted with new, highly classified technologies. But it wasn't just the ships that were being upgraded. Humanity itself had been quietly building up its power, its knowledge, and its alliances with those few beings in the galaxy who saw potential in Earth. In the shadows, something else was taking place. Scientists were working on something more mysterious than just warships. They were experimenting with a forgotten human technology, one so old that it was nearly lost to time. The secrets of the first interstellar ship built by Earth. Long ago, this ship had vanished without a trace, but its blueprints had been recovered. Now, humanity was ready to unlock its true potential. This ship, known only as Genesis, was said to have capabilities far beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. A weapon not just of destruction, but of immense power. An artifact capable of rewriting the rules of warfare itself. But the research into Genesis was shrouded in secrecy. No one outside Earth knew of its existence. Not even the council members, with their vast networks and intelligence, had any inkling of the power humanity was harnessing. Back on the surface, the world's governments were preparing to take Earth's defense to the next level. The leadership of every nation knew that they were on the brink of a galactic revelation. Soon, the galaxy would realize that the Earth they had once mocked, the Earth they had thought defenseless, was in fact the most dangerous power in the universe. The human ambassador sat in the council hall, eyes narrowed as the discussion raged on. He knew his people were ready. It was only a matter of time before the galaxy would realize that Earth's fleet wasn't just a relic. It was a sleeping giant, now fully awake. Elsewhere, the leaders of Earth's military were making final preparations. Thousands of soldiers, engineers, and pilots were being trained and equipped. They were preparing to launch the greatest counteroffensive in human history. The time for diplomacy, for quiet warnings, was coming to an end. It was time for humanity to show the galaxy exactly who they were. Back at the council, the discussions grew louder. The Orthac representative was still shaking his head in disbelief, unable to understand how a planet so small could even consider opposing their might. Why do we even bother with these insignificant humans? The Orthac growled, his massive claws clacking against the table. The Krytal representative clicked their mandibles in agreement. They will do nothing. Let them waste their resources on these rusting ships. It is of no concern to us. But then the human ambassador spoke again, his voice calm but filled with undeniable weight. You may believe that Earth's fleet is weak, but you underestimate the power that lies dormant within us. When you see the truth of what we have created, you will understand the mistake you've made. The council members exchanged skeptical glances, their confidence unwavering. They did not yet understand the gravity of the situation, but they soon would. As the meeting continued, the human ambassador knew that soon, the galaxy would no longer dismiss them. Soon, they would see Earth's fleet not as relics, but as a formidable force, a force that would change the course of history. But to make that happen, the fleet had to be ready, and the humans had to be prepared to fight. In the deepest corners of the galaxy, the Orthac, the Krytal, and the others would soon face a harsh truth. They had underestimated humanity. And when Earth's ships roared to life, it would be too late to turn back. The hum of machinery echoed through the secret underground facility beneath the surface of Earth. The once decommissioned ships were now more than just hulking monuments to history. They were reborn, their systems thrumming with new life, more powerful than anyone could have imagined. Each ship was a testament to the ingenuity of Earth's best minds. Hidden in plain sight, Earth had built something far greater than its enemies could ever guess. Deep within the heart of one of these hidden military bases, a colossal structure stood. It was unlike any ship or station humanity had ever created before. The Genesis, the first interstellar vessel ever constructed by Earth, had remained dormant for millennia, a forgotten relic of a long-lost age. But now it was coming back to life. Engineers and scientists, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of their terminal screens, worked around the clock to revive the Genesis. Its dark, sleek hull was silent, almost like a beast lying in wait, hungry for the moment it would be unleashed upon the galaxy. Every system was tested, every circuit carefully examined. It wasn't just a ship, it was the embodiment of human potential, a hidden weapon and a symbol of Earth's strength. Outside, Earth's fleet was coming together. Thousands of ships, some ancient and some newly constructed, filled the skies over their home planet. The alien fleets, having long dismissed Earth as insignificant, had no idea what was coming. The Genesis, however, would be the crowning jewel of humanity's secret weapon. Its engines roared to life for the first time in centuries, sending a ripple of power through the entire facility. There was no turning back now. The ship's weapon systems hummed with deadly energy. Its shields glowed, indicating that the ship was ready for combat, ready to stand as Earth's greatest defense. The project had been kept so secret that even the most powerful galactic empires had no idea that humanity was capable of such a feat. The ancient ship had been hidden for a reason. It was too powerful to be left alone. And now, it was back. In a war room deep below Earth's surface, the leaders of the world gathered around a large holographic table. Maps and data of galactic systems flickered in the air as they discussed their final strategy. The representatives from every corner of Earth's power structure stood shoulder to shoulder, united by a single purpose: survival. General Ariana Burke, commander of the newly formed United Earth Defense Force, stood at the head of the table. She was a seasoned officer, but even she couldn't hide the excitement in her eyes. For decades, humanity had lived in the shadow of alien empires, constantly under threat. But now, they had the tools to defend themselves. The Genesis was not just a ship, it was the key to securing humanity's future. "We are ready," General Burke said, her voice firm but filled with a sense of pride. "The Genesis will lead the charge. We will show them that humanity is not a species to be taken lightly." Behind her, a group of young pilots, most of them no older than 20, were preparing for the battle of their lives. They had been trained to fly the newest, most advanced ships in the fleet. The ships that had been dismissed by the galaxy as relics were now their most powerful weapons. One of the pilots, Lieutenant Marcus Howell, was among the first to board one of the newly upgraded warships. As he strapped himself into his seat, he felt a surge of adrenaline course through him. He was nervous, of course, but also determined. This wasn't just another mission. This was humanity's chance to prove itself, to show the galaxy that it had underestimated them. His hands gripped the controls as the systems around him powered up. His ship hummed, the engines warming as the cockpit lights flickered on. He looked out at the stars ahead of him and took a deep breath. He wasn't just a pilot. He was part of something much bigger. As the Genesis rose from the depths of the Earth's hidden base, its massive form cut through the atmosphere. It ascended into the cold void of space, accompanied by hundreds of smaller ships that had been newly refurbished and armed. The fleet of humanity was ready to make its mark on the galaxy. In the council halls, the aliens were still laughing. They still believed that Earth was weak, that it was nothing more than a speck on the galactic map. They were wrong. The Genesis and its fleet were moving into position, their weapons primed. Soon, the galaxy would see what humanity was truly capable of. The first shots fired were from the smallest ships in the fleet. Their lasers streaked across the sky, cutting through the darkness of space with pinpoint accuracy. They made contact with enemy scout ships that had been monitoring Earth's progress, but their technology was no match for the firepower Earth now commanded. The scout ships were vaporized in an instant. Meanwhile, the Genesis sailed through the darkness, its engines burning brighter than any star, its weapons powered up, glowing with a deadly energy. The ancient ship was no longer a relic. It was a force of nature. As the fleet reached the outskirts of enemy territory, General Burke issued the command, "Engage." In an instant, the entire fleet surged forward, each ship firing its weapons, each pilot focused on their mission. For the first time in history, humanity was striking back against those who had once laughed at them. The galaxy had underestimated them, and now it would pay the price. The Genesis, its systems now fully activated, fired a single shot. The blast tore through a massive alien ship, disintegrating it in a burst of fire and debris. The shockwave sent a ripple through the galaxy. The Genesis had proven its power. Humanity was no longer the weak, defenseless species the galaxy had once believed it to be, and it was only the beginning. The war had begun, and Earth was ready to show the galaxy exactly what it was capable of. As the first wave of humanity's fleet pushed deeper into alien territory, the galaxy seemed to hold its breath. The silence of space, broken only by the hum of advanced engines and the crackle of communications, was deafening. The Genesis, now leading the charge, cut through the stars like an unstoppable force, its weapons glowing with barely contained power. Behind it, Earth's fleet followed closely, ships of every size and shape, all brimming with the determination of a species that had been underestimated for far too long. General Ariana Burke stood in the command center of the Genesis, her eyes fixed on the holographic map in front of her. Each pulse of the ship's weapons reverberated through the command deck, as if reminding them of the stakes at hand. Her voice, calm yet full of authority, echoed through the room. "Prepare for engagement," she ordered. Lieutenant Marcus Howell, aboard his own warship, checked his systems one final time. He glanced at the view screen, watching as enemy ships appeared on the horizon. His heart pounded in his chest. This was it. The moment humanity would make its mark on the galaxy. The time to prove the aliens wrong was now. Locking on target, Marcus muttered, his fingers moving swiftly over the controls. The alien fleet, once confident in its superiority, now found itself facing something it couldn't comprehend. Humanity's fleet. The aliens, who had always assumed Earth's fleet was outdated and weak, were unprepared for what they were about to encounter. Their ships, sleek and advanced, were not designed to withstand the power of the Genesis and its companions. Without warning, the silence of space was shattered by a wave of energy. The Genesis fired a devastating blast from its primary cannon, a pulse of energy that lit up the darkness of space like a supernova. The beam struck the lead alien ship, sending it spiraling into pieces. The shockwave from the blast rippled outwards, knocking several other alien ships off course. Direct hit. Lieutenant Howell shouted over the comms, a smile of triumph spreading across his face. They didn't see this coming, but the battle was far from over. As the Genesis powered forward, more alien ships emerged from the darkness. They were large, formidable vessels, designed for intimidation and firepower. Their weapons charged up quickly, sending deadly beams of energy toward the advancing human fleet. Yet, despite their size and strength, they were still no match for humanity's advanced tactics and technology. The first wave of enemy fire struck a few of the smaller ships in Earth's fleet. Explosions erupted across the battlefield, but the humans didn't falter. Instead, they retaliated with precise strikes that sent alien ships spinning into the void. The human warships were smaller, nimbler, and had better maneuverability, making them hard targets for the alien fleet. As the fight raged on, the alien commanders began to realize something. They had underestimated humanity's resolve and power. The Genesis was not a relic, it was a weapon. And humanity, it seemed, was far from weak. In a distant command center aboard one of the alien capital ships, the alien general's face twisted into a scowl as he watched the battle unfold on his screens. He had dismissed Earth's fleet as a joke, assuming that their so-called relic ships would be no match for the Galactic Empire's finest. But now, with his ships taking hit after hit, the general was forced to confront the reality that he had been wrong. This can't be happening. The alien general hissed, slamming his fist against the control panel. Reinforcements. We need reinforcements now. But it was too late. Earth's fleet was already on top of them, cutting through their lines with precision and deadly force. The Genesis, its weapons charging once again, released another pulse that obliterated two more alien ships in quick succession. The galaxy was witnessing something it had never seen before. Humanity's fleet, once written off as weak, was proving to be unstoppable. Despite the initial surprise and chaos, the alien fleet began to regroup. They were powerful, but the humans were proving to be resourceful and relentless. The battle had become a fight not just for survival, but for dominance in the galaxy. And the humans were showing the universe that they would no longer be pushed around. Back on Earth, the news spread like wildfire. Humanity's military leaders had anticipated resistance, but not this kind of swift and brutal victory. Every report from the front lines confirmed it. Earth was winning. But this was just the beginning. General Burke stood in the command center, watching as the battle continued to unfold across the vastness of space. The alien forces were beginning to retreat, their numbers dwindling. But she knew better than to get complacent. The fight was far from over. "We've got them on the run, but don't get cocky," she warned her team. "Stay sharp. This is just the first wave. We'll need to be ready for whatever they throw at us next." As Earth's fleet moved forward, humanity's resolve had been proven beyond any doubt. The aliens who had laughed at Earth's fleet just days earlier were now forced to reckon with the full might of humanity's power. And for the first time, they knew that they were not facing a weak and helpless species. They were facing a force that would fight to the bitter end. The first clash had been decisive, but it was only the beginning of a much larger war. The galaxy would never look at Earth the same way again. Humanity had shown its strength, and no one would forget it. The battle in space had been raging for hours, and the results were beginning to tell. The alien fleet, once confident and dominant, was now in full retreat. Ships that had once been the pride of their fleet were being destroyed or forced to abandon the field, leaving humanity's warships to surge forward with an unstoppable momentum. General Ariana Burke stood before the holographic map, eyes narrowed in concentration as she watched the movements of both fleets. The enemy was struggling to maintain its organized formations. She could see the change, the first signs of panic. The aliens were not accustomed to losing, and certainly not to losing to a race they had once dismissed as primitive. "Status report," Burke commanded. "Captain, we've destroyed almost 30% of their fleet. Another wave of enemy ships has retreated beyond the outer rim. It seems they're pulling back to regroup, Lieutenant Howell reported, his voice tinged with disbelief. He'd never expected to be reporting such good news. Burke's gaze shifted to the battle outside the Genesis's viewports, where bright flashes and trails of weaponry filled the void. The enemy ships, despite their advanced designs, had proven shockingly vulnerable to humanity's firepower. The precision of Earth's strikes, combined with the determination of its fleet, was turning the tide. Maintain pressure. Do not let them regroup, Burke ordered firmly, her voice betraying no hint of the satisfaction she felt. There was still work to be done. The enemy fleet had underestimated Earth's resolve and ingenuity. Humanity's ships, once thought obsolete, had proven to be far more resilient and powerful than anyone could have imagined. The aliens had mocked the so-called relic fleet at first, thinking they were no match for their high-tech weaponry. Now those very warships were proving to be their worst nightmare. As the Genesis continued its relentless assault, a transmission from the alien general flashed across the command screen. General Vrax's face was tight with anger and frustration, a sharp contrast to the arrogance he had shown in earlier communications. "You humans, you fight like animals," he spat, his voice heavy with contempt. "But you will learn. The galaxy is not yours to conquer." Burke leaned forward slightly, responding in a calm, measured tone. "You had your chance to prove us weak, General. Now it's our turn." The alien general snarled, then disconnected the transmission abruptly. The arrogance of the alien leaders was now gone, replaced by confusion and fear. Burke could sense it. The tide had turned, and it wasn't just in the battle. It was in their confidence. They were no longer fighting for victory. They were fighting for survival. While the alien forces regrouped, a new strategy emerged from Earth's fleet. No longer were they merely defending or retaliating. Now, they were hunting. "Captain, we've got eyes on a large fleet formation in Sector 3. It looks like their reinforcements are attempting to merge," reported Commander Jamie Park from the Genesis's weapons control station. "Shall we intercept?" "Intercept, but do it carefully. We've pushed them this far, but we cannot afford to rush into an open engagement. Get in, strike hard, and get out before they can organize," Burke replied, her strategy clear. They couldn't let their victory turn into overconfidence. Every move had to count. The Genesis and its fleet of warships moved into position. They approached the alien formation from the flank, staying in the shadows of distant asteroid fields and using the cover of nearby debris to remain undetected. Humanity had mastered the art of guerrilla warfare, and it was proving to be the key to their success. The aliens, once certain of their superiority, now found themselves under a constant barrage of strikes from the human fleet. And then, just as the aliens began to realize they had underestimated the humans once again, the attack came. In perfect unison, the fleet launched a devastating missile barrage, sending clusters of high-powered projectiles directly at the heart of the alien formation. The explosions were deafening. As the missiles tore through the alien ships, leaving a trail of devastation in their wake, the humans didn't relent. "Direct hits," Howell shouted, watching as the alien ships faltered under the onslaught. "Their formations are breaking apart." The alien fleet, caught off guard by the brutal precision of the human attack, scrambled to recover, but it was too late. Humanity's forces were already retreating into the darkness of space, leaving the aliens in disarray, scrambling to regroup. "Nice work, everyone," Burke said, her voice cold but filled with pride. "We've sent them a message they won't forget. But we're not done yet. Prepare for the next phase. This is just the beginning." As Earth's fleet retreated to a safe distance, General Burke's mind raced. She knew the aliens were not going to simply give up. They would regroup and come back stronger, perhaps with reinforcements from across the galaxy. But now, humanity had proven its strength, and more importantly, it had proven that it would not be easily pushed aside. The aliens had learned the hard way that humanity was not a species to be underestimated. Back on Earth, Celebrations had already begun. The news of humanity's victory spread like wildfire across the globe. Governments, military leaders, and civilians alike celebrated the surprising success. But General Burke knew that the war was far from over. In the coming days, the alien fleet would surely rebuild, and when they did, humanity would be ready. This battle was only the first step. The galaxy had seen the power of Earth's fleet, and it had learned that humans would never back down. The war was just beginning. The universe would soon realize that humanity's wrath was far more terrifying than anyone could have imagined. Despite their humiliating defeat, the aliens had not given up. On the contrary, they had begun to adapt, regroup, and plan their next move. The galaxy's most powerful empire, once mocking Earth's fleet, was now in a state of panic. Their superior technology had been outclassed by humanity's determination, and they knew it. Their previous overconfidence had cost them dearly, and now they were faced with the uncomfortable reality that Earth's fleet was far more dangerous than they had ever anticipated. On the command deck of the Genesis, General Ariana Burke stood, her hands clasped behind her back as she stared out into the endless void of space. The latest reports confirmed what she had feared. The aliens were preparing for something big. They were not going to retreat quietly. No, they were assembling a new weapon, a weapon that could change the course of the war. "General, we've intercepted an alien transmission." Lieutenant Howell's voice broke through the silence. "It seems they've been assembling something large, something we haven't seen before." Burke turned, her eyes narrowed in concern. "Define large." "From the data we've gathered, it appears they're constructing a massive dreadnought. It's still a few days away from being fully operational, but it could be a game changer. It's bigger than anything they've built so far. If it reaches full power, we'll be dealing with something far worse than we faced." Burke's mind raced. A dreadnought. The mere mention of the word sent chills down her spine. Such a weapon could obliterate entire fleets with ease, and the alien empire had always possessed a twisted ingenuity in their creations. Earth had already taken the first step toward proving its strength, but could it handle this new threat? "How long until they finish construction?" Burke asked, her voice steady despite the weight of the situation. 2 days. They're pushing it to the limit. But if we don't act now, they might strike before we're ready," Howell replied. The clock was ticking. Burke knew she had no choice. The enemy could no longer be allowed to complete the dreadnought. If they did, it could turn the tide of the war in their favor. It was time for a bold move, one that would send a message once again to the alien forces. The universe had already seen what Earth's fleet was capable of, but now they would see just how far humanity was willing to go. "We're going to hit them before they're ready," Burke said decisively. "I want all ships to assemble in formation. We're going to destroy that dreadnought before it ever sees the light of day." A flurry of activity ensued as Burke's orders were executed. The fleet readied itself for the final strike. As the Genesis and its accompanying warships prepared for battle, Burke felt a surge of determination wash over her. The time had come to show the galaxy once and for all that humanity was not to be trifled with. The plan was simple: strike fast, strike hard, and cripple the alien dreadnought before it could even launch. The human fleet would slip past the alien defenses under the cover of darkness, avoiding their outer perimeter, and launch a series of surprise attacks at the dreadnought's core systems. With the element of surprise on their side, the aliens would never know what hit them. The tension on the Genesis was palpable as the final preparations took place. Burke paced the command deck, her mind going over every detail of the operation. The alien dreadnought was their last hope, and if they lost it, they would have nothing left to face humanity's wrath. "Captain, all ships are in position," Commander Park reported. "We're ready to proceed." Burke nodded. "Good. Let's move out." As the fleet slipped into the vast darkness of space, they kept a tight formation, silently cutting through the void. They were like shadows, unseen and undetected by the alien sensors. The dreadnought was within reach, and humanity was about to deliver a blow the alien empire would never forget. Suddenly, a loud warning alarm blared through the command deck. Burke's heart skipped a beat as the alert flashed on her screen. "General, the aliens have detected us," Howell shouted. "They've activated their defenses. It's a trap." The surprise attack was no longer a surprise. The aliens had anticipated the move, and now the humans were walking straight into a deadly ambush. The dreadnought, though not yet fully operational, was already firing its weapons, sending waves of energy blasts across space. Burke's mind raced. They were outgunned, but she wasn't about to back down. The fate of Earth's future hung in the balance. "All ships, brace for impact," Burke shouted. "We fight through it. Now." The first volley of enemy fire exploded against the shields of the Genesis, shaking the ship to its core. Sparks flew across the command deck, and the lights flickered, but the ship held strong. The human fleet retaliated with devastating force. Missiles and laser fire rained down upon the alien forces, creating an intense light show across the void. As the battle raged on, Burke's eyes were locked onto the dreadnought. She could see its massive form in the distance, just beyond the chaos of the battle. If they didn't take it down now, humanity would face a weapon the galaxy had never seen before. "We're almost there," Burke muttered under her breath. "Hold strong. Just a little longer." The battle escalated, with both sides suffering losses, but humanity's fleet refused to yield. As the enemy dreadnought loomed larger, Burke ordered one final, all-out assault. Her fleet poured everything they had into the final strike. A massive explosion lit up the darkness of space as the alien dreadnought erupted. Torn apart by humanity's fury, the shockwave rippled through the battlefield, sending both alien and human ships scattering. The dreadnought was gone. Earth had won. Again. The aliens, their last hope extinguished, began to retreat. The remaining forces scrambled to regroup, but it was clear that they had been defeated. Burke took a deep breath, watching as the alien ships flood into the distance. They had done it. Humanity had struck back and proven once again that they would not be defeated. The alien empire had learned a harsh lesson: underestimate Earth and face the consequences. The war was not over, but humanity had made its mark on the galaxy, and the aliens would never forget the power of Earth's fleet. The battle was over, but the scars of war still marked the cosmos. The alien fleet, now fractured and retreating, left behind the remnants of a conflict that had shaken the galaxy. The dreadnought, once a symbol of invincibility, now lay in ruins, proof that even the mightiest of enemies could be defeated by the will of humanity. The fleet's victory had sent ripples through the galaxy, with whispers of Earth's might spreading faster than any starship ever could. General Ariana Burke stood on the bridge of the Genesis, gazing out into the endless void. The silence was almost deafening, a stark contrast to the chaos of the battle that had just unfolded. The human fleet had won a decisive victory, but she knew this was just one battle in an ongoing war. The aliens might have retreated for now, but they would regroup and plan their next move. And when they did, Earth would be ready. She turned to Lieutenant Howell, who was typing furiously on the console beside her. His face, typically calm and collected, now showed a hint of concern. "General, we've received a transmission. It's from the Galactic Council." Burke's brow furrowed. The Galactic Council had been watching the conflict from afar, mostly silent, but their role in the Galactic Order had always been one of influence. If they were contacting her now, it could only mean one thing. They were taking notice. "Put it through," Burke ordered. The screen flickered, and the face of an alien counselor appeared. His skin was a pale blue, his eyes large and unblinking. He wore the insignia of the Galactic Council, a symbol of the united powers of many alien races. His voice was cold and deliberate as he spoke. "General Burke, I trust you are aware of the ramifications of your actions. The battle you fought against the Empire will not be forgotten. You have proven humanity's strength, but you have also made an enemy of the Galactic Council. Burke's grip on the railing tightened. "I am aware, and we will not back down." The counselor's expression remained unchanged. "You may have won this war, but do not think it will be the last. You have gained the attention of the most powerful races in the galaxy. Earth is now a target, not only for the Empire, but for every alien faction who fears your growing power." Burke's heart skipped a beat, but her voice remained firm. "Then let them come. Humanity will never bow to threats. We will fight for our right to exist." The counselor's eyes narrowed, as though he had anticipated this response. "Do not think we are blind to your intentions, General. Earth's fleet, once a relic, has become a force to be reckoned with. But remember, power in the galaxy is never a permanent thing. It can be taken as quickly as it is gained." The transmission ended abruptly, and the screen flickered back to static. "General," Howell said, his voice low, "this is bigger than we thought. The Galactic Council is watching us closely." Burke nodded, her eyes narrowing in thought. "I know, but this is our chance. The galaxy is beginning to realize that humanity is not to be underestimated. We've shown them our strength, but now we need to show them our resolve." As the human fleet regrouped and prepared for whatever came next, Burke's mind raced with possibilities. The defeat of the alien empire had shaken the galaxy, but the real challenge lay ahead. The Galactic Council, though powerful, was not invincible. Humanity had proven it could fight, and win, against overwhelming odds. Now, it was time to show them that Earth would not be silenced, no matter who stood in their way. The Genesis slowly drifted through the stars, the hum of its engines a steady reminder of what had been accomplished. The victory over the alien dreadnought had been a turning point, but it had also been a message. The galaxy had laughed at Earth's fleet, but now they knew better. Humanity was not to be underestimated, and those who made that mistake would pay the price. In the days that followed, Earth's influence began to spread. More and more planets, once content to remain neutral, began to take notice of the human fleet. They saw the power that humanity wielded and realized that the balance of power in the galaxy was shifting. Earth had gone from being a forgotten relic to a force that could not be ignored. But with this newfound power came new challenges. The Galactic Council's warning loomed over them, a constant reminder that the galaxy's most powerful factions would not tolerate Earth's rise for long. Burke knew the road ahead would be long and difficult, but she also knew that humanity's legacy was just beginning. As she looked out at the stars once more, she could see the vastness of the universe stretching out before them. Humanity had taken its first steps on the galactic stage, and the future was wide open. There would be battles to fight, alliances to forge, and enemies to face. But Earth had something the galaxy had never seen before, an unyielding spirit that would never be broken. The war was far from over, but for the first time, the galaxy knew the truth. Humanity's fleet was not a relic. It was a force that would change the fate of the stars, and Earth's legacy would be written across the cosmos, one victory at a time.